I was someone who was very proud in the fact that I did not like nonfiction. I read mostly novels, poetry, with beatnik poets, things like that. Also some really crappy chick lit when I was feeling blue or unloved. I read a lot of chick lit. A lot of chick lit in the last couple of years of my relationship. I didn't understand why I was addicted to these really crappy romance novels. I didn't realize it was because I was so miserable. But anyway, and then all of a sudden this breakup happened, and I started being like, had this voracious appetite for nonfiction and for educating myself and just needing to heal and to never let myself disappear again. And so on this journey to become the me I was before I met him, and on this journey of rediscovering who this new me is going to be, and being very learning patience and learning self-acceptance, and learning not to cater to somebody else's mood and needs and desires while completely stifling my own, I've become a fan of nonfiction, documentaries. I always did like documentaries, but now it's my principal brain food. I have stopped watching almost entirely. I think I've watched 3 movies this year. So cut out movies, cut out television. And the way I did that was also stepping stones. So I went from watching a whole lot of crap TV, because it was my way to bond with my teenager, who's my stepdaughter. She was my favorite person. So in my house in the last couple of years, so I would watch a lot of the Teeny Bopper series with her so that we would have something to talk about and bond over. So what I did with her is, especially since it was around the pandemic, is I encouraged her to start watching positive things. So is this making you happy, or is this making you, like, contributing to your anxiety and stress? So that was the first stepping stone. And then the second stepping stone to quit crap TV and crap movies was to move towards, okay, now let's start being more active in our watching. What is the secret message behind this movie? Like, what's it trying to, like, what is the dogma of the person who created this movie? Because whether it's conscious or not, we all have prejudices and beliefs and values. And so when we're creators, we're most often not even aware we're doing this, but we do end up creating cultural matter that is based on these values and beliefs and all that. So I realized that if you're watching a movie that's been created with these biases and these stereotypes, these archetypes, whether you want to or not, those movies are going to affect you and they're going to influence you. Being really active in the viewing was my next step. And this was great with my kid, because we'd be like, oh, did you notice? Like, and she's an amazing sleuth. She always sees lack of continuance. So if somebody's got their watch on this arm and in the next shot it's on the left one, she'll be like, ah. And so just to up that into more active watching instead of passive watching, that was a really crucial step for us. And then to start choosing only things that have positive messaging or that has an educational factor. And then that edged me into, okay, educational factor, which helped me, okay, we're going to watch documentaries, we're going to watch movies that are based on real people. And then step up from that was, okay, now let's go educational. If you are going to watch something, because you do have that need to self-medicate emotionally by checking out and watching things, or if you feel lonely, I get it. I felt lonely a lot this year, and you just want that feeling of having somebody in the house with you, then okay, let's go towards, YouTube tutorials. Let's go towards documentaries. Let's go towards other people who are experiencing what you're having and who can. So yeah, educational. So that was really the step. And the interesting thing was I travel a lot. Being in planes, on the flights that I managed not to watch anything on the flight, I was so much more rested when I landed, because my body was able to either take a nap because it needed it, or my brain was able to wander, and that dreaming, that creativity, that not analyzing, but the observation of other people in the plane is really restful. I was landing, when I travel now, I'm so much less tired because I'm not doing that binge watching on my flights. Another amazing steps to quit movies was when I finally cracked and became a podcast aficionado. The podcasts crept in because my friend Annick Granger made this beautiful series that was very artistic as well. At the end of the podcast, you would hear this finished song based on the conversation you heard at the beginning. And I thought that was so beautiful. And then I found out that there's a podcast about cult leaders and kidnappings. And okay, so that was very entertainment value, but that was the first step. And then I found out that there were these amazing podcasts for, I know it's a very hot topic, but man, is there a lot of it out there, surviving narcissistic abuse. There were a lot of podcasts about self-love and becoming your own best friend, which is really what I focused this year on. So those podcasts, they were amazing because I wasn't feeling as alone because you've got a conversation going on in your ears. And I was also learning at the same time. And it was this incredible opportunity to have things mirrored to me and to be able to have more introspection and self-reflection and healing. So that's been a massive factor too of getting away from television and movies that were indoctrinating me to the point of like, I don't know if anybody has this, but my sister and I used to binge Hallmark romance movies at Christmas time. And I am so convinced that was part of why I ended up with this ding dong. That whole idea of a meet cute. And so I'm now a firm believer that what you watch indoctrinates you and what you watch brainwashes you. And you really have to be conscientious and aware and awake when you decide to watch a crap movie, because the amount of things that it will convince you of is... So that combination of the coffee, the alcohol, the media, it's so dangerous. And on top of that, you've got the movies that are always going, yeah, you're a cool mom if you get drunk and drink coffee every day and hate being a mom. Like, so, okay. And if you're not a man unless you can drink 12 beers in a night with a couple of shooters with that. So I really started seeing that in what we were watching, especially watching things with my teenager where it was about desensitizing her to her own sexuality. It's about desensitizing her to debauchery, desensitizing her to all this stuff, normalizing toxic female relationships, normalizing toxic heterosexual or homosexual relationships, just normalizing toxicity in general, whether it's physical toxicity, emotional toxicity, mental toxicity, and even to the point where she was telling me, oh, it's not normal. This 15-year-old is acting like an adult. I'm convinced that I ended up with this massive emotionally abusive ding-dong because I watched too many Hallmark movies. I'm not saying it's the only factor, but it was definitely a contributing factor.